Hey there. Welcome to Sleepy Science Nerd. Before you drift off, I want to take you on a quiet little journey, not through outer space, but the inner universe inside your own mind. Yes, the same mind you've been using to binge watch cat videos and scroll through memes today. But tonight, let's imagine that this mind might be capable of so much more than we've ever realized. You see, humans have always been trying to figure themselves out. Early humans built tools, learned to talk, and painted on cave walls, not just because it was fun, but because it helped them survive. Now, in a world full of technology, complex societies, and 100 distractions pulling us every which way, survival isn't just about dodging predators. It might be about enhancing the way we think, perceive, and understand reality itself. Wait, before we jump into this thrilling story, make sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me stay motivated to create even better content. Now let's dive into this series and see what it's all about. Thanks you. Some scientists are even suggesting that our consciousness, the thing that makes us us, might be more mysterious than we imagined. Imagine your thoughts not just being electricity zipping around your neurons, but maybe tiny quantum events inside your brain. Tiny, almost magical flickers that could help explain why you feel dream or wonder about the universe in ways no computer can. Now, before you start imagining glowing neurons like little disco balls, let's keep it simple. The idea isn't that your brain is some sci-fi quantum spaceship. It's that your mind might have untapped abilities that could change how you see reality, how you solve problems, and how you connect to the universe around you. Think of it like discovering your own personal superpower that's been hiding inside you all along. This idea of quantum consciousness isn't just academic mumbo-jumbo. It could be the next step in human evolution. Just as tools and language were once new and strange, enhancing consciousness might be the tool of the future. And like any powerful tool, it comes with risks. If done wrong, we can misunderstand ourselves. But if done right, well, imagine a humanity where every mind reaches its potential. A civilization that can tackle problems we can't even solve today, from climate change to social conflicts, maybe even to exploring the universe without leaving our own planet. Now, here's the fun part. This research doesn't just ask how our brains work. It asks what minds could become. If your consciousness could be enhanced, could you see patterns in the universe others miss? Could your imagination touch realms that feel just beyond reach? Could your curiosity lead to discoveries so subtle they'd feel like magic? That's the kind of thinking Sleepy Science Nerd loves to explore, not to overwhelm you before bed, but to let your mind wander while your body rests. And here's a quiet truth. Whether consciousness is classical or quantum, whether it's purely neural or touches some deeper layer of reality, it is extraordinary. You sitting there under your blanket are the universe experiencing itself. All of those stars you can see in the sky tonight, all of that matter swirling in galaxies somehow arranged itself to think about itself. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? Scientists are split. Some say quantum effects in the brain are impossible. The brain is too warm, too wet, too noisy. Others point to the mysteries of photosynthesis, birds navigating across oceans, and the strange behaviors of molecules saying, "See, nature is already a quantum wizard. Why not your brain?" Either way, the discussion isn't just about biology, it's about the philosophy of being human. Are we deterministic machines? Are thoughts determined by chemical reactions? Or are we beings capable of true choice, influenced by the randomness and possibilities of quantum events? And if you're thinking, okay, but what does this have to do with me? Well, here's the bedtime twist, even if we don't know all the details. Yet thinking about consciousness this way is liberating. It reminds us that your thoughts, dreams, and imagination aren't just random. They might be hints of something much bigger. And the act of simply exploring these questions while lying in bed, maybe letting your eyelids grow heavy, is a small exercise in unlocking your potential. Let's take a step back. Think about your last dream. Was it vivid? Did it seem to bend the rules of reality? Your brain was doing something your waking mind can barely explain, and that's normal. In fact, it's a clue. Perhaps our consciousness is already dancing at the edge of quantum possibilities, catching glimpses of patterns that our rational mind can't yet grasp. At Sleepy Science Nerd, we like to imagine these quiet moments as tiny adventures in inner space. Unlike the chaos of social media, the noise of the news, or the endless list of emails, this space is yours. A place where quantum or classical, real or imagined, all melt together and your mind becomes an explorer floating above the normal patterns of life. Humorously enough, even if the quantum consciousness theory turns out to be just a hypothesis, the attempt to understand it teaches us something profound. It teaches us that consciousness is worth marveling at, that it's the very thing that allows us to ask these questions. Without it, Sleepy Science Nerd wouldn't exist. You wouldn't be listening, and stars and galaxies wouldn't get the pleasure of knowing someone somewhere is wondering about them. And there's another twist. While scientists explore quantum consciousness, AI is growing. Machines are getting smarter, but they still don't experience. They don't wonder, dream, or lie in bed contemplating whether the universe is waking up through them. There's a gap between processing information and experiencing it, the kind of gap that makes your mind unique. That's why bedtime storytelling like this isn't just entertainment. It's a subtle reminder of the richness of being alive. So as you settle under your covers tonight, consider this. Maybe your consciousness isn't just a product of neurons firing. Maybe it's a doorway to the universe inside you, a tiny reflection of the cosmos itself, waiting to be explored. Quantum or not, what matters is that you are conscious, and that consciousness is a gift, a mystery, and a superpower all rolled into one. By thinking about these things gently without stress, your mind is already participating in a quiet adventure, a quest as vast as any journey to the stars, and yet as personal as a dream you can barely remember in the morning. And who knows, in a few decades, when technology allows us to safely enhance consciousness, maybe these quiet bedtime musings will turn out to be early training sessions for exploring the full depth of your own mind. In the meantime, don't worry about understanding it all. The journey is the point. Sleepy Science Nerd believes that letting your thoughts wander thinking about the universe, your place in it, the strange possibilities inside your own brain, is the ultimate bedtime meditation. It's a story your neurons tell themselves softly in the dark while your body rests and your mind dreams. So tonight, as you drift off, remember this: you are the universe awake inside your own mind. Tiny quantum sparks, or not, your consciousness is already extraordinary. Let it wonder, let it dream, and let it rest, for tomorrow it will wake to explore more mysteries. As we continue our journey into the mysterious landscape of consciousness it becomes clear that our minds are far more than mere biological machines. The 86 billion neurons firing in our brains are not just little chemical sparks creating thoughts. They may be the threads weaving a tapestry that connects us to the universe itself. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not simply inside your skull, but stretching outward, intertwined with the quantum fabric of reality. This isn't science fiction. It's a provocative idea, explored by researchers daring enough to ask questions most of us have never considered. The concept of quantum consciousness suggests that consciousness could emerge from quantum processes, tiny events at the scale of atoms and subatomic particles. At first, it seems almost laughably complex, like asking if your morning coffee has an opinion on your mood. But there's growing evidence that the quantum world is not just weird for the sake of being weird. It may be foundational to life itself. Photosynthesis in plants, for instance, exploits quantum coherence to transfer energy with near perfect efficiency. Even some birds seem to navigate using quantum entanglement in their eyes. So why not humans? Why couldn't our brains, the ultimate survival machines, also tap into these subtle quantum effects to create awareness, creativity, and intuition? Now here's where things get fun and slightly mind-boggling. If our consciousness is quantum in nature, then perhaps every decision we make is not entirely predetermined. Classical neuroscience often portrays our brains like highly sophisticated computers. Input neurons, output actions, repeat. But quantum mechanics introduces an element of unpredictability. It allows for multiple possibilities to coexist before a choice is realized, a concept called superposition. In practical terms, your brain might be exploring countless potential futures simultaneously before you settle on, yes, I will finally clean the dishes tonight, or nope, let's watch one more cat video. Some critics argue that this is all just fancy thinking. They point out that the brain is warm, wet, and noisy, hardly the conditions needed for delicate quantum processes. Yet proponents counter with experimental hints. Subtle timing of anesthesia, for instance, suggests that consciousness might not be a purely classical phenomenon. Tiny elusive quantum effects could be influencing the way our neurons communicate in ways we're only beginning to detect. The tools to measure these effects are so new and fragile that even catching a glimpse of them feels like trying to see the wind. But let's not get too lost in microscopes and particle physics. The more profound question is what this means for us, the human experience. If consciousness can indeed tap into the quantum world, then every one of us has latent abilities we barely recognize. Intuition, insight, and even moments of seemingly inexplicable creativity might be our brains brushing against the deeper structures of reality. It's like having a secret dimension in your mind that only opens when you're calm, attentive, or perhaps just daydreaming while sipping hot cocoa in bed. Sleepy Science Nerd often jokes that if quantum consciousness is real, then our dreams are probably little training sessions for exploring parallel realities. Think about it when you dream. Your brain simulates entire worlds, sometimes funny, sometimes terrifying, sometimes just weirdly mundane. Could it be practicing the rules of a larger quantum playground, preparing us for challenges that our conscious minds cannot yet comprehend? Whether true or not, the metaphor beautifully captures the sense of wonder inherent in exploring the mind. The implications stretch beyond bedtime musings. consider human survival in a rapidly changing world. Just as early humans needed tools, language, and social strategies to thrive in hostile environments, modern humans may need to enhance our cognitive abilities to navigate complexity. If quantum consciousness can amplify creativity, problem solving, or decision making, then understanding it could be vital for our collective future. This isn't about turning people into superhero geniuses. It's about giving humanity a better chance to adapt and flourish. Yet there are practical, ethical, and humorous considerations. Imagine a world where quantum consciousness enhancement becomes possible. Do we all sign up? Could you imagine your Aunt Mildred suddenly seeing 5 possible futures for her Thanksgiving dinner and panicking about which cranberry sauce to choose? Or your coworker staring at a spreadsheet paralyzed because the brain is considering all outcomes simultaneously? The humorous side of quantum minds reminds us that progress is rarely linear or predictable, but it also reassures us that our humanity, our quirks, our laughter, our occasional procrastination remains intact. Meanwhile, the scientific journey continues. Researchers are experimenting with quantum-inspired brain simulations, advanced imaging, and even quantum computers to test theories of consciousness. Some early AI systems, modeled with quantum algorithms, display curious behaviors, curiosity problem solving, and adaptive responses that feel almost alive. While these machines aren't conscious in the human sense, their behavior suggests that quantum principles could open entirely new ways of creating and understanding awareness. Through it all, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The mystery of consciousness is not just a scientific puzzle, it's a deeply human one. We are the only known beings capable of pondering our own thoughts, reflecting on our choices, and wondering why we experience anything at all. This reflexive nature, the mind observing itself, is profoundly unusual in the universe. It's like a lighthouse contemplating its own beam of light, shining back on itself while illuminating the surrounding ocean. And if even a fraction of this reflection is shaped by quantum processes, then our awareness is even more miraculous than we imagined. Of course, we must approach these ideas with both wonder and caution. The history of science is littered with bold theories that eventually crumbled under scrutiny. Some aspects of quantum consciousness may remain elusive or even speculative, but the very act of exploring these questions pushes us to refine our understanding of reality, develop new technologies, and reconsider what it means to be alive, aware, and human. As you lay in bed tonight, eyes half closed, consider this. Your mind may be operating on layers far beyond your conscious perception. Patterns of thought, flashes of insight, the gentle tug of intuition, these might be signals from the quantum realm. In a very real sense, your consciousness could be brushing against the structure of the universe itself, connecting you to the cosmos in ways subtle, profound, and utterly beautiful. Sleepy Science Nerd would remind you it's okay to drift off mid-thought. Dreams may continue the work quietly, rehearsing decisions, imagining new worlds, and perhaps even hinting at futures yet to come. Your brain, possibly quantum in nature, will keep exploring, experimenting, and expanding even as you sleep. And when morning comes, you wake with memories, ideas, and feelings that are part imagination, part reality, and part something that science has yet to fully understand. So as we journey deeper into the quantum nature of consciousness, remember, this is not just research, not just theory. It's a story of what it means to be human. It's a reminder that even in the quietest, simplest moments, your mind is performing feats as complex as the stars themselves. And perhaps, just perhaps, the greatest adventure awaits not in outer space, but in the infinite inner universe of your own mind. Last night, as you drifted into sleep, your mind didn't just shut off. In fact, it probably just entered another operating mode, one where reality bends a little, and where the invisible threads of the quantum universe might be dancing through your neurons. This is the magical space where dreams and quantum consciousness meet a liminal world that few have explored and fewer still have tried to explain without making your head spin. Imagine your brain as a vast city, streets glowing with signals, intersections of thoughts, memories, and feelings buzzing like neon signs in the night. In this city, your conscious mind is the mayor, managing traffic, issuing permits, and occasionally stopping to enjoy a cup of coffee. But underneath, in the alleys and subways, quantum processes might be quietly running tiny computations that consider not just what happened, but what could happen, what might have happened, and what could happen if you sneezed at the exact right moment. It sounds absurd, but stay with me. Absurdity is often where understanding begins. The intriguing idea is that dreams are not random at all. Some neuroscientists and quantum theorists suggest that dreaming could be the brain's way of testing multiple possible realities. When you dream, you are essentially simulating scenarios, meeting that old friend, forgetting your keys, or narrowly escaping an awkward dinner party. Each dream could be a subtle rehearsal, preparing you for choices in waking life. In other words, your brain might be experimenting with quantum superpositions, multiple potential outcomes existing side by side until you wake up and collapse them into a single reality. Of course, most of us don't think of our nightly adventures in such highfalutin terms. We just wake up groggy sometimes, amused, sometimes confused. Yet even in these seemingly mundane dreams, quantum principles might be at play. Every what if in your mind might be exploring probabilities, tiny quantum ripples guiding your intuition, your gut feelings, your flashes of insight. It's as if your brain during sleep is auditioning your future decisions in a theater of possibilities, giving you subconscious hints about which path might be safest, most creative, or even just the funniest. Humor plays a surprisingly important role here. Ever notice how dreams often exaggerate absurdity? You could be wearing 3 hats at once, flying over a city while trying to find your car keys, or talking to your pet goldfish about world peace. These nonsensical sequences might serve a purpose, stretching the mind's flexibility, encouraging creativity, and training your problem-solving muscles without the risk of embarrassment. In a quantum sense, these bizarre scenarios could be helping you test the range of possibilities your mind can entertain. And yes, your subconscious seems to have a wicked sense of humor. Sleepy Science Nerd often points out that your dreams might also reflect the subtle entanglement of your mind with the universe. Quantum entanglement is famously spooky. 2 particles separated by vast distances can instantaneously influence each other. Now apply this metaphorically, or perhaps literally, to your consciousness. Could it be that while you sleep, your mind is subtly entangled with other systems, other people, your environment, or even the larger cosmos? Maybe that odd feeling of déjà vu, the inexplicable intuition, or the sense of being in the right place at the right time is a reflection of this hidden connectivity. It's tempting to dismiss this as poetic imagination, and yet even simple experiments show that the brain operates in ways classical physics struggles to explain. Microtubules in neurons, subtle energy exchanges, and the timing of neuron firing suggest that classical explanations are not the whole story. Some researchers argue that consciousness might even exist at the edge of physical law, brushing against the quantum substrate of reality. If true, this means your brain every night may be quietly rehearsing life in a multiverse of potentialities. Let's pause for a light-hearted thought. Imagine if we could fully map this quantum dreaming network. Your nightly adventures could be cataloged. Thursday night, tried to fly with an umbrella, outcome uncertain. Friday night, survived a sandwich-related apocalypse. While we don't yet have such technology, the metaphor reminds us that the quantum mind isn't just about abstract physics. It's intimately tied to our human experience, our emotions, and our creativity. Moreover, these nightly rehearsals could have real-world benefits. Problem-solving creative breakthroughs, emotional processing dreams might be our nightly training ground. For instance, composers, mathematicians, and writers have long claimed that their best ideas come during sleep. Could quantum processes in the brain be subtly nudging neurons toward patterns that manifest as insights? It's possible, and it's fascinating to consider. Sleepy science. Nerd likes to illustrate this with a simple analogy. Your mind is like a cosmic chessboard. Every move in a dream is a test, sometimes absurd, sometimes brilliant. By morning, most of the pieces have returned to the box, but some new strategies linger ready to influence your waking decisions. The beauty is that you never notice the calculation except for the occasional aha moment when you suddenly understand something you couldn't quite grasp the day before. Of course, not all dreams are neatly packaged with useful outcomes. Some nights, chaos reigns, flying trains, talking vegetables, and existential conversations with your ceiling fan. But even in this chaos, your mind is exercising its quantum flexibility, exploring paths and possibilities that might otherwise remain closed. This capacity for exploration, unpredictability, and creativity is perhaps one of the most human things about us, and one of the reasons bedtime storytelling works so well. It encourages gentle reflection, imagination, and wonder before sleep, priming the brain for a quantum-friendly environment. Stepping back, the key takeaway is this: whether or not quantum consciousness directly influences your dreams, thinking about it this way transforms how we experience our inner lives. The mundane chores, conversations, daily routines sits atop a hidden layer of possibilities, like a calm lake reflecting unseen depths. By engaging with this perspective even lightly, we cultivate curiosity, mindfulness, and a sense of wonder. And those perhaps are the true gifts of bedtime storytelling, a quiet invitation to explore our minds, laugh a little, and imagine worlds beyond our immediate perception. Finally, let's touch on a practical note. While science works slowly to unravel these mysteries, you can still harness the potential of your quantum mind tonight. Create a relaxing environment, dim lights, soft music, and a story to drift off to. Allow yourself to daydream, to laugh at absurd thoughts, and to notice the small flashes of insight that emerge from nowhere. In doing so, you participate in the age-old human tradition of wonder, a tradition that quietly links our minds to the universe. one gentle thought at a time. So, as you close your eyes tonight, remember, your dreams might be more than stories. They could be quantum exercises, universe rehearsals, and gentle hints from a mind connected in ways both mysterious and profound. Sleep well, explore bravely, and let the invisible threads of your consciousness weave quietly with the cosmos. And if a flying sandwich appears, just go with it. It's probably practicing quantum entanglement too. As you sink deeper into sleep, let's explore something that might feel a little strange, but remarkably comforting. The way time itself seems to bend when you drift between consciousness and dreams. It's a subtle magic, a quiet trick of the universe, and Sleepy Science Nerd will guide you through it with a soft voice, a touch of humor, and just enough curiosity to keep your mind awake in the gentlest possible way. Time in the ordinary sense marches steadily forward. The sun rises, the coffee brews, the bus arrives a few minutes late. Life follows this rhythm with predictable stubbornness, but inside your mind, especially in dreams or quiet reflection time, becomes elastic. You might experience a single dream that feels like hours, even days. Yet when your alarm rings, only a few minutes have passed. This isn't just a quirk of your imagination. It's deeply tied to the way consciousness interacts with the universe. Some physicists suggest that the perception of time is intimately linked with awareness itself. The more concentrated your mind, the more detailed your experience of moments. When dreaming, your neurons fire, memories replay, and potential outcomes are simulated. It's like fast-forwarding, rewinding, and pausing your inner movie all at once. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to joke that your brain is basically binge-watching your life in tiny episodes, complete with cliffhangers, laugh tracks, and occasional plot holes. Here's where quantum consciousness quietly enters the scene. If consciousness is indeed tied to quantum processes, then time may not be strictly linear for the mind. Moments could exist in superposition, overlapping in subtle ways, and your dreams might explore multiple timelines simultaneously. That's right, your brain could be multitasking across potential pasts, presents, and futures while you sleep. No wonder we sometimes wake up with ideas that seem ahead of their time or insights about events we haven't yet fully processed. Consider a simple example. You've struggled with a decision all week, let's say whether to confront a friend about a misunderstanding or let it slide. One night, you dream about the confrontation, but in several different versions. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes terribly, sometimes hilariously wrong. Each dream scenario subtly guides your intuition, helping you navigate the choice in waking life. It's as if your mind is sampling the quantum landscape of possibilities, quietly nudging you toward a path that balances risk-reward and emotional satisfaction. And it's not just serious decisions. Everyday creativity benefits too. Artists, writers, and inventors often report solving complex problems in dreams. Maybe that odd sketch you doodled in your dream, the flying penguin on a skateboard, actually sparks a creative solution in real life. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that humor, absurdity, and surprise are essential. Your mind stretches beyond conventional logic, exploring imaginative pathways it rarely uses during waking hours. Of course, we can't forget the gentle rhythm of the universe itself. Your consciousness doesn't float in isolation. It exists in a vast interconnected system. Quantum entanglement hints at invisible connections spanning vast distances. While it's tempting to romanticize this, there's a practical takeaway. Subtle shifts in awareness, attention, and intention can resonate far beyond the confines of your personal mind. Each moment of mindfulness, each playful thought, each dreamlike insight is part of a broader cosmic dance, a gentle echo of the universe's unfolding. Sleepy Science Nerd often uses an analogy. Imagine your consciousness as a pebble dropped into a vast dark pond. Each thought, each dream, each quiet reflection sends ripples outward. Some ripples dissipate quickly unnoticed. Others intersect with distant currents, subtly influencing other ripples, creating patterns that might eventually return to touch you in surprising ways. The humor, the whimsy, the absurdity, all of it is part of this dynamic dance. Let's return to a practical perspective. While the quantum underpinnings of consciousness remain speculative, the subjective experience is undeniably real. Dreams altered time perception and subtle intuition influence daily life. Recognizing these experiences enriches our understanding of ourselves and our connection to the cosmos. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages gentle exploration, keeping a dream journal, reflecting on moments of insight, or simply pausing to notice the flow of time in quiet moments. And yes, laughter matters. The brain, in its quantum rehearsals, seems to enjoy a good joke. Nightmares might be unsettling, but even they have lessons, sometimes teaching resilience, sometimes encouraging problem solving, sometimes simply reminding you that life is unpredictable. Humor then becomes a lens through which the mind examines infinite possibilities, a playful nudge toward flexibility and openness. As you drift deeper into this exploration, imagine yourself as both observer and participant. You are simultaneously the dreamer, the dream, and the subtle forces guiding its unfolding. Your mind weaves experiences, emotions, and ideas into a tapestry that reflects not just your life, but the larger patterns of possibility, chaos, and beauty inherent in the universe. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to remind viewers that you don't need a PhD to appreciate this cosmic elegance. Observing your dreams, noticing the elasticity of time, and allowing yourself moments of playful imagination are enough. These practices cultivate a sense of wonder, creativity, and serenity, the perfect conditions for deep sleep and vivid, meaningful dreams. Before we finish tonight's segment, consider a final thought. Even if quantum consciousness is just a theory, the experience of expanded time, imaginative dreaming, and interconnected awareness is profoundly real. You are participating in a nightly ritual that spans biology, physics, and imagination. Each moment of reflection and dream exploration strengthens your capacity to perceive, understand, and engage with the subtle flow of the universe. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, imagine letting go of strict schedules and linear time. Allow your mind to explore, to laugh, to experiment in the soft theater of dreams. Remember, the universe doesn't always follow clocks. It whispers in rhythms, dances in possibilities, and occasionally, if you're lucky, lets you glimpse its playful quantum heart. Sleep well. Float gently through these infinite corridors of potential. And if a penguin on a skateboard shows up in your dreams, just nod, smile, and enjoy the ride. Now that you've been gently floating through the labyrinth of dreams, time, and quantum musings, it's time to venture a little deeper. Let's explore how your mind, seemingly small and fragile, dances with the vast universe, weaving together experiences, thoughts, and cosmic rhythms. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you this will be soothing, a little whimsical, and entirely safe for your bedtime journey. Think of your consciousness as a tiny orchestra in the middle of an infinite concert hall. Each neuron is a musician, each memory a delicate note, and your awareness conducts them sometimes with precision, other times with delightful chaos. When you sleep, this orchestra continues to play, exploring melodies that might never surface during the busy daylight hours. Perhaps that weird jazz riff you heard in a dream, that's your brain improvising with the universe, sampling possibilities, nudging your intuition, and occasionally throwing in a humorous note just to keep you entertained. Now remember how we talked about time feeling stretchy in dreams? This elasticity is not merely a trick, it's your mind's way of syncing with a deeper rhythm. The universe is not a metronome. It doesn't tick like a clock. It swirls, pulses, expands, and contracts. Your mind in sleep or in quiet reflection taps into this ebb and flow. You might experience a flash of insight, a sudden emotional clarity, or a moment of laughter over something absurd, like why cats insist on sitting on your keyboard right when you need to type. Here's the really fascinating part. Some scientists speculate that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. While this might sound intimidating, Sleepy Science Nerd promises to make it cozy. Imagine your thoughts as tiny particles existing in multiple states, at once exploring different scenarios simultaneously. Your brain, in essence, is a gentle quantum computer, sifting through endless possibilities while you dream. This is why sometimes solutions to problems appear out of nowhere after a nap, or why creativity spikes when your mind is relaxed rather than stressed. Humor plays a subtle but important role here. Your consciousness enjoys whimsy. It's as if the universe is nudging you, saying, don't take things too seriously. Even in the grandest cosmic scheme, a little laughter matters. Dreaming about flying penguins, talking teapots, or accidentally wearing two different shoes might feel silly, but your brain is exercising flexibility, exploring patterns, and connecting ideas that seem unrelated during waking life. Sleepy Science Nerd would argue that even absurdity has a purpose, like a cosmic stretching routine for the mind. Let's talk about perception of self. When you dream, you are simultaneously the protagonist, the observer, and the background character in a narrative that shifts fluidly. This multi-perspective awareness allows your brain to simulate social interactions, test responses to emotions, and even rehearse difficult conversations. By experiencing these scenarios in dreams, your mind prepares for real-world encounters, often with subtle improvements in understanding and empathy. And yes, sometimes your inner self will throw in a silly twist, like tripping over an invisible banana peel. But that's your subconscious keeping things light. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to point out that even in quiet wakefulness, you're part of a larger cosmic pattern. Every thought, intention, and emotional impulse generates subtle effects that ripple outward. Imagine tossing a pebble into a dark lake. The ripples expand, intersect, and occasionally circle back in unexpected ways. This metaphor isn't just poetic. It reflects how your mind interacts with your environment, subtly influencing your perception and choices. Quantum mechanics hints that some of these connections might even extend farther than we can currently measure, adding a mystical, playful flavor to everyday experiences. You might be wondering, is all this just wishful thinking? Perhaps. Or perhaps It's a gentle reminder that life is more flexible, more interconnected, and more whimsical than we often acknowledge. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages embracing these moments with curiosity rather than skepticism. Even if the quantum explanations are still theoretical, the subjective experience, the inspiration, the laughter, the creative spark is undeniably real. Now let's return to the idea of dreams as rehearsal spaces. Every night, your brain rehearses scenarios, social challenges, emotional dilemmas, and creative puzzles. It's like a theater with you in multiple roles: director, actor, and audience. The beauty is that you don't need to analyze everything or strive for perfect outcomes. The rehearsal itself shapes your waking mind, improving adaptability, problem solving, and emotional resilience. And sometimes, just sometimes, it reminds you to smile, to laugh, and to marvel at the absurdity of a teapot reciting Shakespeare. Here's a gentle thought for tonight. Even when the universe feels vast, overwhelming, or incomprehensible, your consciousness is intricately woven into its fabric. Each thought, each reflection, each laugh contributes to an invisible symphony. You are part of a grander rhythm, a cosmic melody that is playful, profound, and surprisingly intimate. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that you don't need to fully understand the mechanics. Simply being aware, curious, and open to the subtle flow of ideas is enough. Finally, consider this. Your nightly journey through dreams and gentle reflection is not just a biological necessity. It is a voyage of exploration, creativity, and connection. You may not see the quantum particles dancing the timelines, intertwining, or the cosmic ripples subtly responding to your thoughts, but they are part of the backdrop of your experience. And perhaps in the quiet moments before sleep, you glimpse the universe smiling back, sharing in your curiosity, your laughter, and your playful musings. So tonight, as your eyelids grow heavier, remember to relax into the flow. Let time stretch and bend. Let your mind play. Let the universe whisper its gentle secrets. And if a flying penguin or a talking teapot appears along the way, smile, laugh softly, and enjoy the ride. You are part of a subtle symphony, and it's always playing, always evolving, and always just a little bit magical. Sleep well, gentle explorer. The universe and your consciousness are dancing together, softly, quietly, wonderfully. As you settle deeper into the soft folds of your blanket, imagine your mind as a tiny lighthouse perched on a cliff above an endless cosmic sea. The waves, those are your thoughts, rolling and crashing, sometimes calm, sometimes wild. And yet, in that chaos, patterns emerge, subtle harmonies that echo the vastness of space itself. Sleepy Science Nerd invites you to float with these echoes tonight, to explore how your everyday thinking connects to something immeasurably larger. Your neurons fire in bursts, like tiny stars twinkling across your mental sky. Each spark represents a choice, an idea, a memory, or even a passing whimsy, a craving for chocolate at 2 a.m., a sudden recollection of a joke you laughed at months ago, or that random fear about leaving the stove on. These tiny events, seemingly trivial, resonate with each other, forming a delicate constellation unique to you. The mind is simultaneously a microcosm and a mirror of the universe, reflecting its complexity, unpredictability, and hidden order. Now, here's a curious twist. Just as the cosmos stretches across billions of light years, so does your consciousness expand in the quiet spaces of thought. When you meditate, daydream, or drift into sleep, your awareness isn't confined. It stretches, bends, and sometimes leaps across realms of possibility. This is why you might solve a problem in your dream, remember a forgotten detail, or suddenly laugh at a memory you'd long buried. Your mind is like a cosmic explorer tiptoeing across invisible paths that the waking brain rarely travels. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to point out the humor in these cosmic adventures. Think about how our brains sometimes mix metaphors in dreams. You might be racing through a supermarket, chasing a runaway penguin, only to realize mid-chase that you're actually late for a virtual meeting. Absurd, absolutely, but it's also a reminder that your brain is experimenting, blending experiences, and testing the limits of your imagination. It's quantum creativity at play, without any of the intimidating math or physics jargon. Let's slow down for a moment and talk about the sense of time. Ever noticed how some dreams feel eternal, while others vanish in a heartbeat? That elastic quality mirrors how the universe itself behaves. Time is not rigid, it's a river with gentle currents and sudden whirlpools. Your consciousness drifts along, sometimes following the flow, sometimes striking out against it. These temporal adventures might explain why occasionally you feel like you've lived multiple lifetimes in a single dream, or why a flash of intuition hits just as you sip your morning coffee. Another fascinating layer is emotional resonance. Your feelings are not isolated. They ripple outward, subtly influencing your surroundings, interactions, and even your internal narratives. A laugh shared in the quiet of your room, a sigh as you watch stars through a window, or a gentle feeling of awe at the vastness of the sky. All of these moments generate subtle waves. These emotional ripples shape the mind, reinforcing creativity, empathy, and problem solving. Sleepy Science Nerd would say, your feelings are tiny tidal forces tugging at the fabric of your inner universe. Here's a fun thought experiment. Imagine if your consciousness could send tiny messages directly to the stars. Not literally, of course, but as metaphors, as subtle hints in the patterns of your dreams. You might wonder, do these thoughts echo back in some way? In quantum terms, perhaps possibilities exist simultaneously. In practical terms, sometimes a dream solution or a sudden inspiration feels as if it came from somewhere beyond your immediate awareness. That's the beauty of these nighttime journeys. The source of insight is mysterious, playful, and a little magical. Sleepy Science Nerd also emphasizes playfulness in cognition. Humor and curiosity are not just for amusement, they're essential tools. They allow the brain to explore boundaries safely, to combine ideas that seem unrelated, and to generate creativity. Think about why puns make you laugh, or why a silly image in a dream can feel profound. Your mind enjoys bending rules, testing limits, and sprinkling absurdity into serious scenarios. It's as if the universe itself is winking at you, so you can play too. As you drift further, consider the subtle influence of memory. Memories are not static snapshots. They are active, living constructs that shape your perception and your emotional landscape. A memory of a childhood picnic can suddenly feel intensely real, complete with the smell of grass, the warmth of sunlight, and the distant hum of bees. These memories interact with current thoughts, dreams, and even random observations, generating new patterns and connections. In essence, your mind is constantly remixing the past, present, and potential future. The next layer is self-reflection and perspective. During quiet moments or in dreams, You may notice yourself from multiple angles simultaneously as observer, participant, and commentator. This multi-layered awareness allows your brain to simulate possibilities, weigh outcomes, and practice empathy. You might laugh at a dream scenario where you are both superhero and bystander, or cringe at a scenario that never actually happened. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you these playful simulations are essential rehearsals for real-life decisions and emotional growth. Now let's talk about connection with the universe at large. Imagine your thoughts and feelings as subtle radio waves mingling with countless others in a vast, unseen network. Quantum theories suggest that particles and consciousness might interact in ways we don't fully understand yet. While the scientific details are still debated, the idea itself is comforting. Your mind is part of a grand tapestry, woven into a universe that is alive with possibility, beauty, and occasional cosmic humor. Here's a bedtime trick. As you lie down tonight, gently focus on your breathing and imagine the vast expanse of stars above. Picture your thoughts as tiny lights echoing the constellations, occasionally flickering, merging, and dancing. Feel how your inner universe resonates with the outer one, not in ways that require equations or technical jargon, but through intuition, awe, and quiet laughter. This is the art of bedtime reflection, a moment to witness the subtle symphony of mind and cosmos with no pressure, just gentle observation. Finally, consider curiosity and wonder as your nightly companions. They guide your mind on playful journeys, gently nudging you toward insights, humor, and serenity. Even in moments when sleep feels elusive, these companions are quietly shaping your dreams, rehearsing creativity, and harmonizing your consciousness with the vast, whimsical universe. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds you it's perfectly fine to drift, to giggle at absurdities, and to marvel at the delicate echoes between your thoughts and the stars. Tonight, allow yourself to float along these cosmic currents. Let time stretch, let laughter bubble up from unexpected corners, and let the intricate dance of your mind and universe unfold naturally. You are both participant and observer dreamer, and dreamed, laughing alongside the universe as it plays subtle games with your consciousness. Sleep peacefully, explorer of thoughts. The stars, your memories, and your dreams are weaving together in a quiet, playful harmony that is uniquely yours. And tomorrow, or in some distant dream, woven time, you will awaken a little wiser, a little lighter, and perhaps with a gentle smile from a universe that has shared a wink with you tonight. As you nestle deeper into your pillow, let's take a gentle journey into the peculiar realm of dreams. You might think of dreams as random, nonsensical movies your brain plays at night, but Sleepy Science Nerd invites you to see them differently. Dreams are more like secret messages, whispers of your consciousness, exploring possibilities you can barely touch while awake. They're your mind's way of rehearsing, reflecting, and sometimes just having a bit of mischievous fun. Picture this. Your consciousness is a tiny submarine navigating an ocean of infinite potential. Each dream is a sonar ping bouncing off hidden thoughts, long forgotten memories, and distant possibilities. One moment, you're floating in a cloud of glowing jellyfish in your living room. The next, you're negotiating peace between rival penguin kingdoms in your backyard. Absurd, absolutely. But in these playful scenarios, your mind is experimenting with problem-solving emotions and creativity. all without the pressure of reality. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to point out the quantum-like nature of dreams. Imagine every decision you've ever made and every choice you didn't branching into separate paths, coexisting simultaneously in a vast multiverse. Dreams are like sneak peeks into these alternate realities, tiny glimpses of what could be and what might have been. You might never fully understand the symbolism of that flying taco or the talking cactus, but your subconscious is gently nudging you toward insights you couldn't reach during daylight hours. Here's a curious observation. Have you ever experienced déjà vu in dreams? That uncanny feeling that you've already lived a moment before. Sleepy Science Nerd explains it as your brain quietly testing different timelines, noticing patterns, and exploring subtle probabilities. It's like a rehearsal dinner for your consciousness, where you're both guest and host, oblivious to the cosmic kitchen staff tinkering behind the scenes. Let's talk about play and humor in dreaming. Just as our waking minds find joy in puns and absurdity dreams, delight in bending the rules of logic and gravity. You might be balancing teacups on your nose while solving a calculus problem in a tutu, or flying over a city made entirely of marshmallows. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you this is essential practice. The brain learns through surprise laughter and playful violations of expectation. Humor, even in dreams, is a subtle teacher gently expanding your mental flexibility and emotional resilience. Now imagine your consciousness as a bridge between the tangible world and these dreamscapes. Each night, you send tiny ripples, curious, whimsical, experimental, into the deep ocean of potential realities. Sometimes those ripples return the next morning as sudden inspiration, a flash of insight, or an unexpected solution to a lingering problem. Other times, they simply amuse you, leaving a wry smile as you recount the absurdities over breakfast. Consider the subtle role of memory and imagination. Your brain doesn't just replay events like a dusty home video. It actively remixes past experiences, emotions, and snippets of information into new scenarios. That forgotten childhood friend who appears in a dream, that unvisited city whose streets feel strangely familiar. These constructions are your mind's way of knitting together patterns, testing ideas, and exploring alternative possibilities, all under the gentle cover of sleep. Sleepy Science Nerd also highlights the ethereal connection to the universe. You are not an isolated observer. Your thoughts, emotions, and dreams interact with the world in ways that are subtle yet profound. A kind word to a friend, a smile shared during a moment of quiet reflection, or even a laughter-filled dream. All of these ripple outward, weaving tiny threads in the complex tapestry of consciousness. In a sense, your mind is both receiver and transmitter, a playful participant in the cosmic dialogue. Here's a playful metaphor. Imagine your dreams as quantum messengers delivering hints, questions, or jokes to your waking self. The content might be whimsical, a dancing octopus, a flying piano, but the purpose is serious. These nightly adventures expand your perspective, challenge assumptions, and cultivate creativity. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages you to notice patterns, subtle themes, and recurring motifs. Sometimes the most profound insights arrive disguised in absurdity. Another gentle layer to explore is emotional resonance in dreams. Your feelings are not passive. They color, amplify, and guide dream scenarios. Anxiety might turn a simple hallway into a labyrinth. Joy might transform a rainy street into a glowing carnival, and curiosity can open doors to surreal landscapes. Each emotional ripple provides subtle feedback to your waking self, helping you navigate challenges, process experiences, and deepen empathy. Sleepy Science Nerd often reminds viewers you are the author, director, and audience of your dream theater. Each night, you participate in an intricate dance of consciousness, blending past, present, and potential futures. While the stories may appear nonsensical on the surface, they are rich with layered meaning, subtle humor, and glimpses into the infinite playground of your mind. Let's gently touch on self-awareness within dreams. Lucid moments, when you realize you're dreaming, offer unique opportunities. In these fleeting instants, you can observe play and experiment consciously, sometimes even nudging the narrative along. It's a delightful paradox. You are both participant and observer, exploring your inner universe with playful curiosity. Lucidity may only last seconds, yet the impressions linger like starlight, reflecting in the mind's night sky. Time once again behaves curiously in dreams. Minutes may stretch into hours, events may compress, and sensations can intensify or vanish in an instant. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages you to embrace this fluidity, appreciating the freedom it offers. Your consciousness can move in ways that the waking mind rarely experiences, sampling alternate outcomes and rehearsing the subtleties of life in a safe, imaginative space. Finally, let's marvel at the continuity between sleep and wakefulness. The insights, humor, and playfulness cultivated in dreams do not vanish with sunrise. They seep gently into your waking life, influencing creativity, empathy, and problem solving. That sudden laugh at a silly image in your mind, or the gentle clarity about a lingering question, these are the echoes of your dream messengers. Sleepy Science Nerd gently reminds your nightly explorations are part of an ongoing dialogue between mind, body, and cosmos. Tonight, as you drift further into sleep, remember each dream is an invitation to play, to explore, to reflect, and to marvel. Your consciousness is a bridge, a quantum messenger, a whimsical observer of infinite possibilities. And in this quiet bedtime universe, you are safe, you are curious, and you are infinitely capable of noticing the subtle winks the universe sends your way. Sleep well, dreamer. Tomorrow's sunlight will find you refreshed, subtly wiser, and carrying with you the gentle, playful echoes of your cosmic nighttime journey. As you sink deeper into your blankets and the world grows quieter, let's wander through the marvelous playground that is your sleepy brain. Imagine your neurons as tireless little dancers pirouetting through a cosmic ballroom with flashes of light and bursts of laughter. Each spark of electricity, each subtle chemical whisper is choreographed to orchestrate one thing, the gentle unfolding of your nighttime mind. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to describe this as the brain's ultimate sandbox. Here rules bend, gravity fluctuates, and imagination runs wild without restraint. You might find yourself soaring above a city built entirely from chocolate, or having a debate with a philosophical cat about whether tuna is a moral choice. In these playful rehearsals, your mind is quietly practicing the art of problem-solving creativity and emotional finesse. Now let's sprinkle in a touch of quantum consciousness. Imagine every fleeting thought, emotion, or sensory impression as a tiny quantum particle existing in many potential states at once. Your dreams, your imagination, even your semi-conscious musings are all interacting in this quantum web, creating miniature universes of possibility. Each night, your consciousness sends out subtle ripples into this multiverse, probing, experimenting, and occasionally chuckling at its own absurdity. Sleepy Science Nerd gently reminds us humor is not just fun, it's essential. In the dim glow of night, the brain uses playfulness to reorganize memories, solve emotional puzzles, and even rehearse complex social interactions. A ridiculous dream scenario, like being chased by a troop of juggling llamas, is your brain's way of saying, let's flex those problem-solving muscles in a safe, entertaining way. Think about the fluidity of time and sleep. Moments stretch and contract, blending past, present, and possible futures. One dream minute might feel like an entire afternoon, while a night-long adventure may evaporate in the blink of waking consciousness. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages you to enjoy this fluidity. It's a rare chance to experience life without the constraints of linear time, to see outcomes simultaneously, and to observe possibilities you might otherwise overlook. Your mind also experiments with emotion and memory. Anxiety may turn a hallway into an endless corridor. Joy might color a rainy street into a festival of glowing lanterns. These emotional overlays are not just whimsical, they provide subtle insights into your daily life. Your dreams rehearse responses, test scenarios, and cultivate resilience, all under the safe cloak of nighttime imagination. Sleepy Science Nerd particularly enjoys exploring synchronicities in dreams. Have you ever dreamed about a friend you hadn't seen in years, only to bump into them the next day, or pondered a question in your waking life, only to see a peculiar answer unfold in your sleep? These moments are not merely coincidences. They are the subtle dance of your consciousness, navigating a network of possibilities, gently nudging you toward insight. Here's a fun mental exercise. Try to notice patterns. Your subconscious loves to communicate through recurring motifs, symbols, or scenarios. Perhaps you keep encountering staircases, keys, or playful animals in your dreams. Sleepy Science Nerd suggests not to overthink their playful hints, guiding you to notice hidden connections, untapped creativity, or unresolved emotions. Sometimes the most profound revelations arrive in absurd disguises. Now let's meander into lucid awareness. Occasionally, you may realize mid-dream that you are indeed dreaming. In these rare lucid moments, your mind acts as both participant and observer. You can experiment, play, and even interact with dream characters. While fleeting, these lucid experiences offer glimpses of control, agency, and creative exploration beyond ordinary waking consciousness. It's like having a secret backstage pass to your own mind's theater. Consider the playful nature of thought itself. Your brain loves to make connections, often bizarre ones. A memory from childhood may mingle with a recent conversation, and suddenly you're on a cosmic roller coaster with talking jelly beans. Sleepy Science Nerd gently notes, embrace the whimsy. Your mind is rehearsing, testing, and expanding its capacity to imagine, empathize, and problem solve. Laughing at your dreams is part of the process. It signals engagement, flexibility, and an openness to novelty. Sleepy Science Nerd often describes the interplay between wakefulness and sleep. The insights, humor, and emotional rehearsal cultivated at night do not vanish at sunrise. They seep into waking life, coloring creativity, social interactions, and even decision-making. That spark of inspiration during a morning shower, the sudden clarity on a tricky problem, or the unexpected chuckle at a quirky thought all are echoes from your nocturnal adventures. A fascinating concept to consider is the bridging of universes within your mind. Your dreams and waking life are not separate. They are two lenses on the same underlying consciousness. Sleepy Science Nerd gently reminds us that every experience, dream, or reflection is part of an ongoing dialogue between your inner universe and the outer world. Each thought, feeling, and whimsy plays a subtle part in shaping reality, influencing perception, and cultivating insight. Tonight, as you settle deeper into your pillow, consider the cosmic dance of your neurons. Each flicker of electrical activity, each gentle chemical whisper contributes to a tapestry of awareness, insight, and playful exploration. Your brain is a quiet theater, a whimsical playground, and a laboratory for imagination. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you every laugh, surprise, or odd scenario in your dreams has meaning, however small, in expanding your understanding of yourself and the universe. Finally, as the soft rhythm of your breath deepens, remember this sleep is not idle. It is a journey, an experiment, and a playground. Your dreams are quantum messengers, tiny explorers, playful teachers, and gentle philosophers. And you, dear dreamer, are both participant and observer, floating safely through the infinite possibilities of your own mind. Sleep well. Smile at the absurd, marvel at the cosmic, and drift with the assurance that your nightly explorations are both profoundly personal and delightfully universal. As the night deepens and your eyes grow heavier, let's wander into the subtle corridors of your subconscious. The Sleepy Science Nerd loves to think of this as a hidden garden where seeds of thought, memory, and emotion quietly grow unseen but potent. Every whisper of a memory, every fleeting image, every half-formed idea is a tiny seed waiting to bloom into insight or inspiration. Picture this. You're strolling through a quiet forest in your mind. The leaves shimmer with faint neon glows, not quite green, not quite blue, like your thoughts dancing in semi-darkness. Tiny critters of curiosity scurry along the branches. Questions you asked earlier in the day, worries that need no immediate answers, and moments of joy you almost forgot. Sleepy Science Nerd assures us this garden is wild, strange, and delightfully untamed. Here's the twist. Quantum consciousness plays the role of mysterious gardener. Every possibility exists simultaneously. Your brain flits between them like a playful butterfly. One decision, one image, one laugh can change the way a scenario unfolds in dreams. Sleepy Science Nerd giggles at this idea. Your nighttime mind is basically a cosmic game of choose your own adventure, only with infinite branching paths and absurdly creative outcomes. Have you ever woken up thinking, that dream made no sense at all, and yet found a tiny nugget of clarity hidden in the absurdity? That's your subconscious giving a wink, a subtle hint that the solution or insight was there all along, just dressed up in a llama costume. Sleepy Science Nerd loves this aspect of human dreaming. It's simultaneously silly and profound, playful and wise. Now let's explore emotional rehearsal. Dreams are like a theater troupe, acting out scenarios that mirror your waking life, but with exaggerated flair. Anxiety might show up as a giant rubber duck blocking your front door. Excitement could take the form of flying with a backpack full of glowing jelly beans. Your mind is practicing responses, testing resilience, and refining social skills, all while keeping the show entertaining. Humor is the secret ingredient. It helps your brain retain lessons, process stress, and even build creativity. Sleepy science nerd points out the elasticity of perception during sleep. Time, space, and causality bend in whimsical ways. You may experience an entire day in seconds or travel across cities and oceans without leaving your bed. This flexibility allows your consciousness to explore countless scenarios without risk, a nightly playground for imagination. And yes, the occasional "how did I even get here" moment is part of the fun. Now imagine interconnected minds, not literally, but in the sense that your brain is attuned to subtle patterns, coincidences, and inspirations from the wider universe. Sleepy science nerd loves to call this dream resonance, that sudden idea in the shower, the tiny spark of creativity while folding laundry, or the uncanny memory that pops up before you meet someone. It's all subtle feedback from your subconscious network. Dreams often prefigure these connections, acting like a rehearsal for real-life surprises. Let's talk playfulness in memory consolidation. As neurons fire, they don't just store information, they remix it. Sleepy science nerd describes it like a chef experimenting with old ingredients. Yesterday's stress gets sprinkled with a dash of humor. Last week's triumphs are folded into tomorrow's potential victories. Your brain's kitchen is busy, messy, and occasionally hilarious, all to serve a more coherent and adaptive you in the morning. Here's a subtle gem: symbolic guidance. Your dreams use symbols to nudge your mind in directions it might not consciously choose. A staircase may represent growth, a key might signify discovery, and a dancing animal could hint at joy or flexibility. Sleepy science nerd chuckles at how literal humans can be. Often we miss the jokes in our own subconscious, interpreting a flying cat as nonsense instead of insight disguised as whimsy. Sleepy science nerd also emphasizes lucid micro moments. Occasionally, in the dream's ebb and flow, you might glimpse the fact that you are dreaming. In these brief awakenings within sleep, you gain a taste of agency, the ability to interact, experiment, or just marvel at the ridiculousness of your own imagination. Think of it as peeking behind the curtain, seeing the wires and puppeteers of your inner theater, and realizing that you can play along or just laugh at the spectacle. Consider dream humor as cognitive training. The brain loves irony, absurdity, and unexpected twists. A nightmare might morph into slapstick comedy. A bizarre scenario could suddenly reveal a creative solution. Sleepy science nerd suggests when your dreams are weird, pay attention. Humor is not just for entertainment, it's a subtle workout for your mind, building flexibility, empathy, and pattern recognition. Your emotional intelligence grows quietly in these nocturnal adventures. Sleepy science nerd notes how the brain rehearses social cues, conflict resolution, and empathy while you slumber. A tense conversation might be replayed as a conversation between talking chairs, allowing your mind to explore multiple outcomes safely. The next day, you may find yourself more patient, creative, or understanding without consciously noticing why. Here's a curious idea. Your brain is a cosmic experimenter. Each night, neurons test, observe, and iterate, exploring countless potentialities. Sleepy science nerd frames it like this: if your waking life is the main stage, sleep is the experimental lab, complete with chaos, whimsy, and a dash of quantum uncertainty. Every dream, no matter how silly or scary, contributes to your ongoing mental evolution. Sleepy science nerd gently reminds us about integration. Dreams don't vanish upon waking. they leave traces, subtle influences on mood, creativity, and insight. A tiny epiphany might emerge in the shower. A whimsical idea could surface during breakfast, or a surprising solution to a problem may appear mid-conversation. These echoes are the universe's way of saying, keep dreaming, keep exploring. Finally, as the night deepens further and your eyelids grow heavier, Sleepy Science Nerd encourages you to surrender to the playful chaos. The garden of your subconscious, the quantum playground of your thoughts, the whimsical theater of your emotions, all are open for exploration. Drift with trust, curiosity, and a smile. Your brain, the ultimate dreamer, is taking care of itself, gently expanding awareness, fostering creativity, and sprinkling your night with laughter and insight. Sleep tight. Let the absurd, the cosmic, and the quietly profound lull you deeper. Your mind is alive, vibrant, and endlessly playful. And remember, even in the strangest dreams, you are safe, you are learning, and you are delightfully human. As you sink deeper into your cozy blanket, imagine your brain as a tiny laboratory tucked behind your eyes, buzzing quietly, while the rest of the world sleeps. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to picture this lab as a quirky mix of a mad scientist's workshop and a cosmic playground. Beakers bubble with glowing thoughts, miniature rockets zoom past neurons, and tiny robotic squirrels rearrange memories while whistling a jazzy tune. Here's the thing, your brain doesn't just store memories, it experiments. Every night, it's testing theories, simulating possibilities, and exploring outcomes that your waking self would never dare attempt. Have you ever wondered why sometimes dreams feel like you're walking on clouds, conversing with talking furniture, or riding a giant banana across a city skyline? That's your quantum mind at play, exploring scenarios in parallel, checking all paths for both creativity and survival. Sleepy Science Nerd chuckles at how often we dismiss these experiences as nonsense. In reality, they are miniature simulations, safe spaces to practice, fail, succeed, and discover hidden patterns. The brain's nightly rehearsal is nature's version of a sandbox video game, except the stakes are your growth insight and emotional resilience. Each absurd moment is a calculated nudge, guiding you subtly toward better problem solving in waking life. Now consider the cosmic connections of consciousness. While it may sound mystical, there's a grounded way to think about it. Your mind is constantly scanning, comparing, and integrating information. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to describe it as the brain's Wi-Fi signal to the universe. Ideas, inspirations, and subtle patterns float in the ether, sometimes captured in dreams as strange coincidences, uncanny intuitions, or flashes of insight. Dreams in this sense are not just personal, they are universal experiments echoing faintly with the rhythms of life all around you. Let's explore problem solving through dreaming. Have you ever gone to bed, stuck on a puzzle, only to wake up with an answer? That's no accident. Your subconscious is adept at connecting dots while your conscious mind rests. Sleepy Science Nerd points out the brain has a tendency to think laterally during sleep, weaving disparate fragments of information into solutions your waking mind might never conjure. And sometimes the solutions come with a side of humor, a talking cat, a dancing umbrella, or an unexpected twist that makes you laugh. Consider the emotional rehearsal aspect again. Your dreams are more than stories. They are simulations of emotional experiences. You might relive stressful events, replay social interactions, or even practice courage and empathy in bizarre scenarios. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to remind us that this is a safe, consequence-free environment. A nightmare may feel terrifying in the moment, but it's also a rehearsal for real-world resilience. And if a rubber dragon chases you while reciting Shakespeare, well, that's just your brain having fun while teaching life lessons. Humor is crucial. The absurdity, the slapstick, the unexpected twists, they are not random. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that laughter and surprise help the brain encode lessons more effectively. When neurons are amused, they fire more energetically, forming stronger connections. Your mind is essentially saying, pay attention, this is important and hilarious. Now let's gently peek at lucid moments in dreams. These are those tiny flashes where you realize, oh, I'm dreaming. Even if brief, these moments allow your mind to experiment with agency, creativity, and control. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages embracing these moments. Maybe you decide to fly, solve a problem, or just watch the absurd parade unfold. These tiny bursts of awareness strengthen self-reflection and mindfulness in waking life, all while wrapped in the comfort of your bed. Another fascinating point is memory integration. Dreams help sort, prioritize, and remix your memories. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to call this mental DJing. Old events, recent experiences, and imagined scenarios collide in a surreal mashup, creating new insights and novel associations. That odd dream about a talking sandwich might actually help you remember a crucial fact from last week or inspire a creative solution for tomorrow. The key is to notice these whispers of wisdom and gently carry them into consciousness. Sleepy Science Nerd also points out the elasticity of time in dreams. One night might feel like an entire year. A fleeting moment may stretch into hours of vivid exploration. This flexibility allows your brain to explore possibilities without constraints. You might witness multiple outcomes, practice choices, and experiment with decisions all in the span of one night. It's like a mental rehearsal for life's infinite scenarios, and the playground is both whimsical and safe. There's also a layer of interconnectedness with life patterns. Sleepy Science Nerd highlights how dreams often prefigure or reflect patterns from waking life. A fleeting image may hint at an unresolved concern, an emotional undercurrent, or a hidden opportunity. These subtle signals, though dressed in absurdity, carry practical guidance. The universe communicates in riddles, and your subconscious is fluent in the language of symbols, humor, and metaphor. Let's not forget the cosmic humor. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to remind us that even the most terrifying or nonsensical dreams have a playful edge. A shark might be wearing a monocle, a traffic jam could involve flying cupcakes, or a serious debate unfolds among singing trees. These absurdities aren't distractions. They are invitations to notice patterns, practice resilience, and explore creativity in a joyful, consequence-free environment. Finally, as the night deepens, Sleepy Science Nerd invites you to surrender to the cosmic sandbox. Allow your mind to wander, play, experiment, and explore. Your brain is simultaneously a scientist, comedian, philosopher, and dreamer. Each night is a new experiment, a playful rehearsal, and a chance to discover hidden insights. So let yourself drift with trust and curiosity, knowing that even the silliest dreams are meaningful, nourishing, and perfectly designed for your growth. Sleep well, knowing that your mind is alive, playful, and endlessly creative. And remember, in the quiet absurdity of dreams, you are safe, you are learning, and you are delightfully human. As the moonlight spills softly across your room, imagine for a moment that your mind is not just a brain, but a quantum playground. Sleepy science. Nerd loves this image. Neurons dancing like tiny cosmic ballerinas, quantum possibilities fluttering around like fireflies, and ideas popping in and out of existence faster than you can say, bedtime snack. Why is it called a quantum playground? Because in sleep, your mind experiments with possibilities simultaneously, like Schrödinger's cat playing hopscotch with reality. Every scenario you imagine strange, silly, scary, or sublime exists for a moment in a tiny bubble of consciousness before merging with memory or fading into the ether. Let's step deeper into the idea of parallel experiences. Have you noticed how a dream can feel like you're in multiple places at once? One moment you're floating above a city, the next you're lost in a forest that smells like chocolate chip cookies. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that this is your mind exploring multiple threads of reality at the same time, testing what-if scenarios and discovering hidden emotional landscapes. Humor sneaks in again, as it always does. Picture this, a parade of marching penguins wearing tiny top hats, or a squirrel negotiating peace between two arguing clouds. These absurdities are not random. They're exercises in flexibility and creativity, teaching your brain to embrace unpredictability with curiosity and laughter. Sleepy Science Nerd points out your neurons actually respond better when entertained. A giggling brain is a learning brain. Now consider the interconnectedness of consciousness and the universe. Sleep isn't just personal, it's reflective of patterns beyond yourself. Every dream you have may resonate faintly with rhythms of the world, an echo of nature culture, or even universal probabilities. In other words, your mind is like a tiny antenna picking up whispers of the larger cosmic story while gently stitching them into your private dream narratives. There's a subtle magic in problem solving through dreams. Ever gone to sleep wrestling with a problem only to wake up with the solution almost fully formed? That's not a coincidence. Your subconscious, unburdened by the rules of daytime logic, is free to experiment with novel solutions. Sleepy Science Nerd imagines it as your brain hosting a midnight hackathon, with neurons coding, debugging, and presenting their ideas in an absurdly entertaining conference of one. Emotional rehearsal is another fascinating aspect. Dreams are safe laboratories for feelings. Fear, excitement, wonder, or love can all be explored without risk. Perhaps you find yourself giving a speech to a crowd of floating jellyfish or escaping a maze made entirely of pillows. These experiences prepare you for challenges in waking life, teaching subtle resilience and emotional agility. Sleepy Science Nerd assures us even nightmares are part of this training. They stretch your mind and expand your capacity to cope. Humor again acts as a bridge. The sillier the dream, the more your brain engages. A dancing octopus might seem nonsensical, but the neurons firing during that scene are building pathways for creativity, memory, and insight. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds us the universe has a sense of humor, and your brain is in on the joke. Let's explore lucid awareness once more. Sometimes amid the whimsy and chaos, you realize, I'm dreaming. These moments, though brief, are opportunities to direct the narrative, fly across impossible landscapes, or experiment with actions you'd never attempt awake. Such awareness strengthens self-perception, mindfulness, and even the ability to shape waking behavior, all while wrapped in a cozy blanket of absurdity. Memory integration continues its quiet work in the background. Old experiences, new insights, and creative fragments collide, forming novel connections. Sleepy science nerd likes to call this neuronal remixing. A dream that feels strange may actually help you recall details, understand a problem, or spark a creative idea. That odd encounter with a talking lamp, it might just illuminate something in your waking life you hadn't noticed. Time too becomes elastic in dreams. One night, a fleeting moment may stretch into an epic adventure. Conversely, hours of conscious thinking can compress into a blink of a dream. This flexibility allows for exploration of multiple outcomes, multiple choices, and multiple emotional landscapes, all without consequence. Sleepy Science Nerd compares it to a mental rehearsal studio where you can test any scenario and observe the result before stepping into real life. Even patterns in dreams hint at universal interconnections. Subtle motifs, a recurring animal, a color, or a sensation may reflect unresolved emotional threads or opportunities for growth. Your subconscious speaks in symbols, metaphors, and humor, nudging you toward understanding without forcing conclusions. Sleepy Science Nerd often says that decoding these whispers is like listening to cosmic Morse code, playful yet profound. The absurdity of dreams is not to be ignored. Sharks in bow ties, talking clouds, or candy rainstorms, these are reminders that learning, problem solving, and emotional rehearsal can be joyful and playful. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that embracing this lightheartedness strengthens your mind's resilience, creativity, and emotional flexibility. Finally, as sleep deepens, surrender to the quantum playground. Allow your mind to experiment, play, and explore. Each absurd, hilarious, or profound scene is a reflection of your brain's intelligence, creativity, and connection to the cosmos. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you every weird dream, every giggle, every minor fright is a tiny rehearsal for life wrapped in cosmic humor, quantum possibility, and your own unique consciousness. So snuggle in, let go, and float gently through this nightly playground. Your brain is alive, playful, and endlessly creative, preparing you for both the ordinary and the extraordinary moments awaiting with the sunrise. And remember, even when the absurdity peaks, you are safe learning and delightfully human. As the soft glow of your night lamp paints shadows across your room, imagine that your mind is not merely resting, it is venturing into dreamscapes as vast as galaxies. Sleepy Science Nerd calls this the cosmic rehearsal hall, where your consciousness experiments with realities, scenarios, and emotions in ways that are sometimes subtle, sometimes wildly absurd. Dreams are not just random flickers. They are consciousness exploring possibilities. Your brain is like an orchestra, each neuron a musician improvising in harmony with the universe's subtle rhythm. One moment, you may find yourself flying over a city with streets made of glowing ribbons. The next, you're talking to a llama about the meaning of life. It's all part of the rehearsal, all part of the quantum sandbox your mind has access to while you sleep. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes humor here because laughter is a secret ingredient. Your brain learns better when it is entertained, when curiosity is tickled, and when absurdity invites attention. Imagine a parade of tiny robots juggling glowing moons. Your neurons are cheering synapses, firing connections, strengthening. The universe has a sense of play, and your brain is invited. Consider for a moment the link between dreams and problem solving. Ever had that moment where a solution or insight suddenly appears after waking from a dream? That is your subconscious at work, exploring multiple outcomes in parallel universes inside your head. Sleepy Science Nerd likens it to your own personal idea factory, where scenarios are tested without risk, logic rules bend freely, and creativity reigns supreme. Emotions in dreams are powerful teachers. Fear, joy, love, surprise, they are explored, safely rehearsed in vivid landscapes. A nightmare may feel terrifying, yet it strengthens resilience and adaptive response. A joyful fantasy teaches your brain how to navigate pleasure, empathy, and connection. In all these experiences, humor remains a guide. Talking cats dancing vegetables, or friendly clouds may accompany lessons, reminding you that learning can be fun. Let's talk about time elasticity in dreams. A fleeting moment can stretch into an epic saga. Conversely, what feels like hours may pass in mere minutes. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that this flexibility allows your mind to experiment with decisions, outcomes, and scenarios without consequence, preparing you for waking life in ways subtle but profound. Now let's explore quantum consciousness, simplified. The idea is that your mind does not always experience reality linearly. At night, your consciousness can exist in multiple states, exploring different versions of events simultaneously. In one version, you're walking on a beach. In another, climbing a mountain that defies gravity. Your mind is testing possibilities, weaving lessons, and discovering patterns that are otherwise invisible during the linear waking state. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to imagine it as a quantum playground where ideas pop in and out of existence, each offering a unique perspective or insight. Humor remains the bridge, connecting abstract concepts to human experience. Picture a dream where squirrels organize a basketball tournament for ants. Absurd, yes, but your brain is learning, practicing coordination strategy and creativity all in a playful context. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds us that cosmic playfulness is a tool for emotional agility and imaginative strength. Memory consolidation is quietly at work during all this. Sleepy Science Nerd calls it neuronal remixing. Experiences, knowledge, and feelings collide and blend, creating new pathways. You may not realize it, but that bizarre scenario where your pillow turned into a spaceship might help you understand a complex problem tomorrow. Every dream, no matter how silly, serves a purpose. Lucid awareness can emerge in this playground. Realizing I'm dreaming gives you a gentle control over the narrative. You can fly talk to impossible creatures or explore infinite landscapes. Sleepy Science Nerd notes that this is not just fun. It trains your mind in self-perception, mindfulness, and intentional action, even impacting waking life in subtle ways. Dream patterns reflect both personal and universal interconnections. Recurring symbols, a river, a bird, a glowing object may indicate emotional threads, unresolved questions, or creative sparks. Sleepy Science Nerd likens it to listening to the universe's gentle whispers, playful yet insightful, a secret dialogue you can participate in nightly. Absurdity in dreams is not wasted energy. Sharks wearing scarves, furniture that hums lullabies, or rain made of starlight. These are your brain's exercises in flexibility, problem solving, and creativity. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes embracing absurdity, builds resilience and humor in the waking world. Emotional rehearsal continues in parallel. Your brain simulates scenarios, presenting ideas to floating audiences, navigating impossible terrains, or negotiating with whimsical creatures. This builds adaptability, empathy, and insight. The sleepy science nerd imagines a tiny neuron council, applauding every clever solution your subconscious devises, silent, yet powerful, a quantum cheerleading squad. The interface between consciousness and the universe is ever present. Your mind is subtly attuned to patterns, rhythms, and energies beyond the self. Even dreams that feel nonsensical may resonate with larger universal principles. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages us to consider dreams as personal microcosms reflecting cosmic dynamics, a gentle reminder that we are part of a larger story even in sleep. Finally, surrendering to the dreamscape is key. Let your mind wander, experiment, and play. Absurdity, joy, and even fear are tools your brain uses to grow, understand, and connect. Sleepy Science Nerd concludes with a gentle reminder: every dream is a rehearsal for life, wrapped in humor, cosmic insight, and your unique human consciousness. So snuggle into your blankets, feel your brain lightly buzzing with quantum possibility, and let the night carry you through your own cosmic playground. Even when dreams feel strange or silly, know that your mind is thriving, learning, and joyfully connected to something far greater than yourself. As your eyelids grow heavy and the soft hum of nighttime fills the room, imagine your consciousness as a tiny boat drifting across a vast cosmic ocean. Sleepy Science Nerd calls this journey the whispering universe, where your mind navigates subtle currents of thought, emotion, and intuition, all while floating gently in the embrace of sleep. The first lesson tonight is patience. Your brain takes its time weaving connections between memories, ideas, and impressions from your waking hours. Often this feels slow, fragmented, or even nonsensical, but every twist and turn is deliberate, preparing you for the next day with silent precision. Sleepy Science Nerd humorously compares it to a lazy cat deciding exactly when to pounce, strategic yet surprisingly efficient. Dreams in their playful absurdity are also laboratories. Your mind experiments without fear of failure, testing scenarios you'd never attempt while awake. Maybe you're negotiating peace between dancing pineapples or racing clouds shaped like familiar faces. Each scene, each emotion is a rehearsal, a chance for your subconscious to explore possibilities, strengthen problem solving, and flex emotional agility. Let's pause to consider emotions in motion. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that fear, joy, curiosity, and surprise are like tiny instructors in your dream playground. They teach lessons in subtle ways, often disguised as absurdity. That oddly scary moment when furniture grows legs and chases you, your brain is helping you anticipate unpredictability and practice adaptability. The more playful the dream, the better prepared your mind becomes for the chaos and delight of life. Time behaves differently in this nocturnal realm. Minutes stretch into hours. An epic adventure can unfold in moments. This elasticity allows your brain to explore multiple outcomes simultaneously, learning lessons more efficiently than during linear waking hours. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to joke that it's like binge watching a whole season of your favorite show in a single blink. But the show teaches you things you didn't even know you needed to learn. Quantum consciousness quietly hums in the background. Your awareness is not confined to one perspective. At times you exist in multiple states, at once an observer, a participant, a dreamer. One branch of your consciousness may soar through skies filled with glowing orbs, while another navigates underwater cities teeming with curious octopi. Sleepy Science Nerd likens it to a cosmic improv session where every what if is explored in parallel, often with delightful, unexpected results. Humor, Sleepy Science Nerd insists, is the glue connecting abstract experience to learning. A dream where a piano argues with a toaster is more than absurd. It trains your brain to accept novelty, unpredictability, and creativity. Each laugh or bewildered reaction reinforces neuronal flexibility, helping you approach real-life challenges with curiosity rather than frustration. Memory consolidation is another subtle instructor. Your mind revisits events from the day, sometimes merging them with fantastical imagery. That awkward conversation you had may transform into a dream, with talking trees offering advice. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that even bizarre dreams serve a purpose, reinforcing lessons and preparing your mind to recognize patterns, anticipate outcomes, and act creatively. Lucid awareness can emerge without warning. Suddenly, you realize I'm dreaming a gentle but profound acknowledgement of control. In this state, you can interact with dream characters, alter landscapes, and test your courage, all while your mind hones self-perception and intentional action. Sleepy Science Nerd imagines a tiny council of neurons cheering your every decision, a cosmic applause invisible yet profoundly effective. Symbols appear frequently in dreams, recurring rivers, floating lights, or peculiar creatures. These symbols are not random. They reflect threads of your psyche, emotions, and intuition. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages playful interpretation. A smiling cat might represent curiosity or agility. A staircase leading nowhere could hint at unresolved questions. Listening to these symbols is like eavesdropping on your subconscious wisdom, with humor softening the sometimes serious messages. Even the absurdity of dreams carries lessons. Sharks in top hats, rain made of glitter furniture that whispers advice, all are exercises in flexibility and perspective. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds us that the more we embrace absurdity, the more resilient and creative we become, able to navigate unpredictability with humor and insight. Emotional rehearsal continues in silent, invisible ways. Your brain simulates scenarios, presenting ideas to whimsical audiences, navigating impossible landscapes, or negotiating with magical beings. Every experience strengthens adaptability, empathy, and ingenuity. Sleepy Science Nerd jokes that neurons might even give out tiny medals for clever solutions, unseen yet impactful. The subtle interface between consciousness and the universe is always present. Your mind tunes into patterns, rhythms, and energies that extend beyond the self, even in sleep. That fleeting dream where starlight dances across your room may echo cosmic principles, a gentle reminder that your personal story is intertwined with the universe. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that observing and participating in these nightly microcosms fosters connection and awareness, even if the lessons appear playful or absurd. Surrender is crucial. Allow your consciousness to roam freely, explore play, and occasionally stumble. Humor, surprise, and even fear are tools to grow, understand, and connect. Sleepy Science Nerd concludes that every dream, no matter how strange or silly, is a nightly lesson, a rehearsal for life, woven with laughter, cosmic insight, and the essence of your unique consciousness. So as you drift deeper Imagine your mind skipping across cosmic playgrounds, laughing with alien squirrels, negotiating peace with dancing vegetables, and discovering patterns that your waking brain can only guess at. Even when dreams feel chaotic, remember your mind is thriving, learning and joyfully intertwined with the universe. As you sink further into your pillow, imagine your consciousness drifting gently among shimmering starlight. Sleepy science. Nerd likes to call this stage cosmic lullabies, when your brain hums its own private melodies, blending memories, thoughts, and dreams into a gentle, hypnotic rhythm. Tonight's lesson begins with rhythm. Our minds, even when we think we're still, are never idle. Neurons pulse synapses, fire in tiny electrical sparks, dance creating patterns, both complex and harmonious. Sleepy science nerd jokingly describes it as a disco party for neurons, complete with sparkling lights, invisible confetti, and tiny invisible DJ neurons, spinning tracks that only your mind can hear. The dance of thoughts is subtle but significant. Ideas you encountered today, fragments of conversations, fleeting observations, they swirl in miniature whirlpools, sometimes combining into something entirely new. That sketch you made in the morning, that fleeting joke in a coffee shop, or that weird question that popped into your head all get gently reassembled like puzzle pieces, finding their perfect fit. Sleepy science nerd emphasizes the power of this nightly remix. While awake, your brain processes linearly constrained by time and logic. At nighttime becomes elastic, and logic loosens its grip, allowing creative leaps and unseen connections to emerge. It's like your mind is hosting a late-night talk show with a panel of whimsical whys and occasionally absurd dream characters. You might suddenly find yourself in a dream world where physics bends, you float effortlessly, gravity shifts whimsically, and cause and effect playfully twists. These are not mistakes. Rather, they are exercises. Your brain experiments with possibilities, discovering new ways to solve problems, adapt, and understand complexity. Sleepy science nerd loves to point out that even a dream about flying teacups or arguing pencils strengthens your brain's flexibility in ways waking life rarely allows. Now let's explore emotion and intuition. As your mind drifts, feelings weave through dreams, connecting disparate moments. A fleeting joy from a childhood memory, a gentle worry about tomorrow, a pinch of curiosity about something new, all mingled together. Sleepy science nerd often compares this to a cosmic stew simmering gently with flavors that informs your subconscious growth. Even humor appears unexpectedly. Perhaps a talking dog critiques your choice of socks, or a moonbeam sneezes glitter. Each laugh, each bemused reaction is a gentle rehearsal in emotional agility. In these moments, quantum consciousness subtly plays its part. Imagine you are observing multiple scenarios, at once your mind branching into parallel narratives. One version of you is scaling a mountain of books, another dancing in a library filled with floating lamps, and yet another negotiating with a council of wise tiny owls. Each pathway is valid, each pathway is instructive. Sleepy science nerd calls this the playground of possibilities, where you can test ideas, make mistakes safely, and refine understanding, all while tucked under your blanket. Memory consolidation quietly continues. Your brain decides which moments to strengthen, which lessons to archive, and which emotional cues to refine. That awkward misstep earlier today may transform into a humorous anecdote in your dream, teaching resilience and perspective. Sleepy Science Nerd notes that even absurd or frightening dreams serve a hidden purpose, often rehearsing scenarios you might face in waking life or reinforcing creative problem solving. Lucid glimpses occasionally arrive. One moment you notice, I am dreaming, a gentle recognition of self-awareness. This can feel empowering. You may choose to fly, speak to dream characters, or explore impossible worlds. Sleepy Science Nerd jokes that neurons throw a private, invisible celebration every time you achieve such clarity, awarding miniature imaginary medals for courageous navigation of your inner cosmos. Symbols continue to dance in your mind. Rivers of light, floating doors, or playful clouds all carry meaning. They are guides pointing subtly toward unresolved thoughts, hidden curiosity, or emotional patterns. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages playful interpretation. A bouncing star may reflect joy you overlooked, while a twisting staircase might represent questions you have yet to answer. Engaging with these symbols gently with humor and curiosity deepens self-understanding. The interplay of the absurd and profound is constant. A cat wearing a monocle, a staircase turning into a waterfall, a talking sandwich. While laughably ridiculous, these scenarios are exercises in adaptability. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that the more your mind embraces nonsense with a light heart, the more it prepares you for real-life unpredictability. Flexibility and creativity flourish best in such whimsical exercises. Emotions subtly guide learning. Joy, fear, curiosity, and even mild embarrassment are the instructors of your nocturnal education. Dreams offer countless simulations, rehearsals for complex social interactions, emotional dilemmas, or creative exploration. Sleepy Science Nerd often jokes that neurons issue invisible report cards, silently cheering you on for clever improvisation or unexpected insight. Your mind also explores connection with the wider universe. While asleep, subtle patterns, rhythms, and cosmic principles influence perception. That dream of stars winking across a room or a moonlight trail leading to a mysterious garden may subtly reinforce your awareness of the larger interconnected cosmos. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that observing and participating in these nocturnal mini-universes strengthens intuition, creativity, and a sense of harmony. Surrendering to this nightly flow is essential. Let consciousness roam, freely wander, play, and occasionally stumble. Humor, surprise, and even fear are tools for growth. Every dream, no matter how whimsical or chaotic, offers lessons in perception, flexibility, and awareness. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds us that the absurd is a gentle teacher, guiding the mind to navigate the world with curiosity, creativity, and joy. So as your awareness drifts, imagine your consciousness floating among cosmic lullabies, dancing neurons, playful dream characters, and the gentle hum of universal patterns. Each moment strengthens your mind, weaving humor, insight, and resilience into the tapestry of your inner life. Sleepy Science Nerd assures you that when you wake, you carry these nightly lessons, subtly shaping perception, creativity, and emotional wisdom in ways that remain quietly magical. As you nestle deeper into your blanket, feel the gentle tug of the night drawing you toward the final drift, that delicate space between wakefulness and dream. Sleepy Science Nerd likes to call this the cosmic bridge, where imagination, memory, and universal rhythm meet for one last nightly dance. Tonight, your consciousness is not simply sleeping, it's performing a subtle symphony. Neurons continue their gentle firing like a soft drum beat in a celestial orchestra. Synapses whisper to each other across the folds of your brain, exchanging tiny pieces of insight. Sleepy science nerd often jokes that it's like a cosmic tea party where thoughts politely sip on imagination and nibble on curiosity, with a few shy giggles from forgotten memories. As your mind drifts, notice the fluidity of time. Minutes stretch and shrink, seconds dissolve and reform. A single thought can expand into 1,000 possibilities, like ripples across a quiet pond. Sleepy Science Nerd explains that this malleable sense of time is a playground for quantum consciousness, where multiple pathways of thought coexist, branching, intertwining, and sometimes colliding in surprisingly delightful ways. You may suddenly find yourself in dreamscapes of staggering beauty mountains made of starlight, rivers of liquid silver forests, where trees hum soft lullabies. Each detail is an expression of your brain's internal universe, a mirror of your inner life projected outward. Sleepy Science Nerd emphasizes that even when these visions seem absurd or impossible, they are training grounds for creativity and emotional insight. The more fantastical the dream, the more your mind learns to adapt and explore without fear. Memory integration continues quietly, like gentle gardeners tending the soil of your mind. Lessons from the day, faint recollections of old joys, small regrets, and unspoken questions are sifted, pruned, and woven into patterns that enhance understanding. Sleepy Science Nerd likens this to arranging stars into constellations. Each moment finds its place in a larger, meaningful picture. Humor remains an essential ingredient in this final drift. Perhaps a talking cat critiques your choice of pajamas, or your childhood self challenges your adult logic in a playful debate. These moments are more than whimsical. They are mental exercises in flexibility and resilience, allowing the subconscious to experiment with problem solving, social nuance, and creativity. Sleepy Science Nerd assures that laughter, even in dreams, strengthens neural pathways in surprisingly tangible ways. Feel the gentle pull of intuition as well. Insights may bubble up unexpectedly, answers to questions you didn't even know you were asking, solutions to puzzles that seemed unsolvable. Sleepy Science Nerd often remarks that these insights are gifts of quantum consciousness, a reminder that your mind can operate simultaneously on many levels, perceiving subtle connections that escape ordinary awareness. You may drift through multiple layers of experience at once. One version of yourself might be flying above a sea of glowing clouds, while another wanders through a library filled with floating lanterns. A third negotiates with playful imaginary creatures who embody abstract concepts like curiosity, patience, and courage. Sleepy Science Nerd calls this parallel dreaming, where exploration, experimentation, and emotional rehearsal happen in concert, unseen but profoundly effective. Symbols continue to speak gently. A shimmering door may represent opportunity, a spiral staircase hints at curiosity, or a river of light might signify emotional clarity. Sleepy Science Nerd encourages embracing these signs with a playful mindset. They are gentle guides, nudging you toward reflection, learning, and subtle personal growth. Even mild fear in dreams is a teacher. A sudden shadow or a cliff that stretches endlessly may prompt your mind to practice courage, problem solving, and calm observation. Sleepy Science Nerd quips that neurons sometimes throw tiny, invisible applause whenever you navigate such scenarios, successfully reinforcing your ability to face uncertainty with curiosity and composure. The cosmic rhythm of sleep itself is instructive. Slow waves, gentle twitches, and the ebb and flow of dream sequences mimic larger universal patterns. The rotation of stars, the cycles of day and night, the gentle pulse of galaxies. Sleepy Science Nerd delights in pointing out that by aligning with these rhythms, even unconsciously, your mind hones sensitivity, awareness, and an innate sense of balance. As the night deepens, the boundary between your personal experience and the broader universe softens. Thoughts and dreams extend outward, touching imagined worlds, distant stars, and infinite possibilities. Sleepy Science Nerd loves to call this starlight empathy, a gentle awareness that while you are but one mind among billions, your consciousness resonates with something larger, timeless, and wonderfully mysterious. Finally, the closing act of your nightly journey emerges gentle stillness. Dream characters recede, neurons settle into a softer rhythm, and the cosmic dance slows. Sleepy Science Nerd whispers that this moment is not emptiness, but a quiet, potent consolidation, the brain integrating everything from curiosity and humor to insight and emotion. The lessons of the night, often subtle, prepare you for the waking world, imbuing you with creativity, clarity, and resilience. As dawn approaches, your awareness shifts gently back to the waking realm. Though the vivid dreamscapes may fade, their lessons linger. Ideas formed, emotions rehearsed, and patterns recognized all leave subtle imprints on your waking mind. Sleepy Science Nerd assures that every giggle, every flight of fancy, every quiet insight contributes to a more nuanced, creative, and emotionally aware version of yourself. So as you breathe, slowly, drift softly, and feel the warmth of your blanket, know that you have traveled through galaxies of thought, navigated whimsical dreamscapes, and experienced the profound subtlety of quantum consciousness, all while tucked safely in your bed. Sleepy Science Nerd reminds you that every night carries this hidden, quiet magic, and that embracing it with curiosity and humor can transform not just sleep, but waking life itself. And now, allow yourself to surrender fully, to rest with the knowledge that the universe, in all its mystery and playfulness, is quietly dancing along with your mind. Good night and sweet dreams.